The moment I realized my husband was stealing from my family's company, I was standing in our master bathroom, holding his phone. A notification had popped up, an email from someone named Autumn about redistributing company assets. My stomach dropped as I read those words, knowing they'd change everything. I'm Georgia, and 6 months ago, I had it all. Lead architect at Murphy and Associates, the firm my brothers and I built from scratch, married to what I thought was the perfect man, and living in a gorgeous Denver penthouse with views of the Rockies. Now, I'm living in my best friend Sarah's guest room, cut off from the company I helped create, and watching my soon-to-be ex-husband systematically dismantle everything I've worked for. Georgia, you're being paranoid, Matthew had said when I confronted him that night, snatching his phone back. It's just standard business restructuring. You architects should stick to your blueprints and leave the financial planning to those who understand it. The condescension in his voice made my blood boil. Those who understand it? I helped build this company while you were still chasing ambulances at your father's law firm. And now you're letting emotion cloud your judgment. He loosened his tie, that familiar smirk playing across his face. Maybe that's why your brothers agreed it was time for changes in management. My brothers, Caleb and Kason. The betrayal still feels fresh, like a knife twisting in my gut. They'd voted with Matthew to remove me from the board, citing concerns about my decision-making. 3 years ago, I'd introduced Matthew to them as our new legal counsel. Now he was orchestrating my exit. You're making a mistake, I'd told Caleb in his office the day of the vote. The Denver skyline stretched behind him, a view we'd earned together. Can't you see what he's doing? Caleb wouldn't meet my eyes. The firm needs to evolve, Georgia. Matthew has connections we need. His vision for expansion? His vision? What about our vision? The one we built this company on? You're too close to this, Kason chimed in from the corner. My younger brother, always playing peacekeeper. Take some time off. Clear your head. I slammed my hand on Caleb's desk. Clear my head? While my husband dismantles everything we've built, your husband is saving this company. Caleb finally looked at me, his voice hard. Maybe if you weren't so focused on your pet projects, you'd see that. Those pet projects were sustainable housing developments, community centers, schools, projects that meant something, not the soulless corporate towers Matthew was pushing for. Sarah's voice pulls me back to the present. Earth to Georgia? Your coffee's getting cold. I'm sitting in her kitchen now, staring at my laptop screen. Another email from the firm announcing Matthew's promotion to Chief Operating Officer. My hands shake as I close the browser. I can't believe they're falling for it, I say, pushing the coffee away. There's something wrong with these numbers, Sarah. The new projects, the sudden influx of capital, it doesn't add up. Sarah leans forward, her investigative journalist instincts kicking in. Then prove it. You know the business better than anyone. If Matthew's hiding something, he is. I pull out my phone, showing her the photos I'd taken of documents from Matthew's home office before I left. Look at these transfers, the timing, the amounts. It's too perfect. You need help, Sarah says, studying the numbers. Professional help. I might know someone. A forensic investigator? I ask, hope flickering for the first time in months. Sarah nods, already typing on her phone. Her name's Serenity. She specializes in corporate fraud. If there's something to find, there is. I stand up, energy coursing through me. And when I prove it, they'll see. All of them, Matthew, my brothers, everyone who thought they could push me aside. Georgia. Sarah's voice is gentle but firm. Are you sure you want to go down this road? This isn't just about Matthew anymore. Your brothers made their choice. I look out her window at the mountains I used to admire from my own home. Now it's time to make mine. My phone buzzes. an invitation to the annual Industrial Development Gala next month, Matthew's pet event, where he parades around potential investors. This year, he'll be the star of the show, presenting his vision for the company's future. Little does he know, I have plans of my own. He meets her every Tuesday at 2 p.m., Serenity says, sliding photos across the coffee shop table. Always the same place, that little bistro on 17th Street. I study the images of Matthew sitting with a younger woman, their heads bent close over laptops and documents. Her name is Autumn, I learn, the same one from the email that started all this. She's not just a business partner, Serenity continues, her voice low despite the bustling cafe around us. She's got access to offshore accounts that match the timing of several large transfers from Murphy and Associates. Show me, I demand, pushing my untouched latte aside. Serenity pulls out her tablet, displaying a series of transactions. See these withdrawals? They're structured to stay just under reporting requirements, classic embezzlement pattern. My hands clench under the table. Can you prove where the money went? Working on it. But here's something interesting. Your brother Caleb's signature is on some of these documents, but the handwriting analysis suggests it's forged, I finish, recognizing the slight tilt in the K that Caleb never uses. Matthew has been forging my brother's signatures. Bingo. Serenity smiles grimly. And there's more. Your other brother, Kason? His personal accounts show unusual deposits, but I don't think he knows about them. My phone buzzes, a text from Sarah. Saw Matthew at the courthouse, looking smug. What's happening? I'm about to reply when I spot a familiar face entering the cafe. I quickly slide the photos under my notebook. Lloyd? Lloyd Mills, our family's longtime friend and business associate, approaches with a warm smile. Georgia, what a pleasant surprise. Join us, I offer, noting how his eyes linger on the partially hidden documents. This is Serenity, a financial consultant. Lloyd settles into an empty chair. Financial consultant? Interesting career choice for someone with your background, Serenity. I find numbers tell better stories than people, Serenity replies smoothly, but I catch the warning glance she shoots me. Speaking of stories, Lloyd leans forward. I heard some interesting rumors about new development projects at Murphy and Associates. Massive ones. Your husband seems quite ambitious. Ex-husband, I correct sharply. And yes, he's always had big ambitions, sometimes bigger than his abilities. Lloyd's expression turned serious. Georgia, if you ever need support, the board still respects your father's legacy and mine. Before I can respond, my phone buzzes again. This time it's Caleb. Need to talk. Important. Dinner tonight? Sorry. I stand abruptly. I have to go. Lloyd, thank you. Serenity, we'll continue this later. Outside, I call Sarah. I need you to do some digging on Lloyd Mills. Something feels off. Already on it, Sarah replies. And guess what? Autumn Scott just posted about a game-changing announcement at the upcoming gala, tagged Matthew in it. I flagged down a taxi. Send me everything you can find on her. I'm meeting Caleb for dinner. Be careful, Sarah warns. Remember what happened last time. The restaurant Caleb chose is quiet, upscale, the kind of place we used to celebrate company milestones. He's already there, nursing a scotch. You look tired, he says as I sit down. Running your own firm will do that. The lie comes easily. I haven't designed anything in months, but he doesn't need to know that. Georgia, he hesitates. I think I made a mistake. These new projects Matthew's pushing through, something doesn't feel right. Now you notice? I can't keep the bitterness from my voice. What changed? Documents keep appearing with my signature, but I never signed them. And Kason mentioned some unusual account activity. Stop. I hold up my hand. Are you telling me this as my brother or as someone looking to cover their tracks? Caleb's face falls. You really think I don't know what to think anymore. You chose him over me, remember? It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? I lean forward, watching him squirm. Because from where I'm sitting, you handed our family's company to a con man. His phone chimes, probably Matthew, wondering why he's meeting me. Caleb glances at it but doesn't answer. The gala's next month, I say, standing. Maybe you should pay close attention to your star COO's presentation. Might be enlightening. As I walk out, I text Serenity. Keep digging. Focus on Autumn Scott and find out everything you can about Lloyd Mills. Her response is immediate. Already found something. Meet tomorrow. You won't believe what's in these accounts. I smile, feeling the pieces starting to fall into place. Matthew thinks he's so clever, playing everyone against each other. But he forgot one thing. I helped build this company. I know where all the bodies are buried, and I'm about to start digging them up. Holy shit, Sarah whispers, spreading the documents across her dining room table. This is worse than we thought. Serenity nods grimly. $15 million, siphoned through shell companies over the past year, all tied to projects that don't actually exist. I pick up a particularly damning paper, architectural plans for a sustainable housing project in Boulder. My project. The one Matthew killed claiming it wasn't financially viable. Look at the dates, Serenity points. The day after they voted you out, large sums started moving through these accounts. But here's the kicker. They're using your original project proposals as fronts. That's why Caleb's signatures are forged. Sarah realizes. He'd never approve these transfers if he knew what they were really for. My hands shake as I dial Kaysen's number. He answers on the first ring. Georgia, everything okay? Check your personal account, I say without preamble. The one you opened when Dad died. What? Why would I? Just do it, now. I hear keyboard clicking, then a sharp intake of breath. That's, that's not possible. These deposits, Matthew's been using your account to launder money, I tell him. You and Caleb both. He's setting you up to take the fall if anyone investigates. Silence on the line. Then, I'll call you back. Your brothers aren't the only ones being played, Serenity adds once I hang up. Remember Lloyd Mills? He's been quietly buying up company shares through proxy accounts. If these projects fail, he could take control during the chaos. I finish. And Autumn? Former SEC investigator turned private consultant. She specializes in making problems disappear. Sarah lets out a low whistle. Matthew really thought this through. Not well enough? I pull out my laptop, opening the gala invitation. He's planning to announce a massive expansion at the gala. New projects, new investors, all funded with stolen money, Serenity concludes. If this gets out, my phone buzzes. Caleb this time. Georgia, we need to meet. All of us. Now. 20 minutes later, I'm walking into our old conference room. Caleb and Kaysen are already there, looking shell-shocked. Through the glass walls, I can see Matthew in his office, laughing on the phone. Tell me you're wrong, Caleb pleads as soon as I sit down. Tell me this is just some mistake. I slide Serenity's files across the table. Look familiar? They should. They're your signatures. Well, forgeries of them. Kaysen flips through the pages, his face growing paler. The Boulder Project, the Community Center, these were all your designs. Which made perfect covers, I explain. Who would question projects that were already vetted? He just needed you two to push me out first. Georgia, Caleb's voice breaks. I never meant, we thought, save it. I stand up, watching Matthew through the glass. He catches my eye and waves, that smug smile still in place. The question is, what are you going to do about it? We have to stop him, Kaysen says immediately. Call the police and implicate yourselves? I shake my head. Your signatures are all over this, real or not. And those deposits in your accounts? Good luck explaining those. Then what? Caleb demands. We just let him get away with it? I smile, thinking of the flash drive in my purse. The gala's in 3 weeks. Matthew's planning quite a show, presenting his vision for the company's future. Maybe we should let him. What are you planning? Kason asks, worry creasing his brow. The less you know, the better. Just make sure you're there, and whatever happens, follow my lead. As I turn to leave, Caleb grabs my arm. Georgia, wait. I'm sorry. We both are. We should have trusted you. I look at my brothers. Really look at them. Behind the expensive suits and corporate success, I see the boys who helped me build cardboard cities in our backyard, who dreamed with me about creating something meaningful. Trust is earned, I tell them. So is forgiveness. See you at the gala. Outside, I text Serenity. They're in. Start phase 2. Her response comes quickly. Already on it. Meeting Autumn tomorrow. She has no idea who I really am. Sarah calls as I'm getting into my car. Lloyd Mills just scheduled a meeting with Matthew for next week. Want me to try getting access? No need, I reply, watching Matthew through his office window. He's still on the phone, probably plotting his grand reveal. Let him think he's winning. The bigger his announcement, the harder he'll fall. Georgia. Sarah's voice turned serious. Are you sure about this? Once you start? He took everything from me, I remind her. My company, my marriage, my brother's trust. Now I'm taking it all back. And as I drive away from the building with my family name on it, I smile, because Matthew has no idea what's coming. But he will. Oh, he will. He's moving the timeline up, Serenity announces, bursting into Sarah's kitchen. Matthew just called an emergency board meeting for tomorrow morning. I nearly dropped my coffee. What? The gala's still 2 weeks away. Autumn let it slip during our lunch. She thinks they're announcing the expansion plans early. Serenity pulls out her phone, showing me a calendar invite. Look who's on the guest list. Lloyd Mills, I read, my stomach tightening, and 3 other major developers I don't recognize. Sarah leans over my shoulder. Those are the same developers who've been buying up property around your proposed project sites. My phone rings. Caleb. Georgia, are you seeing this? The board meeting. I know, I cut him off. What's he telling people? Some bullshit about seizing market opportunities. Georgia, he's got Lloyd Mills bringing in heavy hitters. Once they sign, they won't, I assure him, though my heart's racing. Not after what they learn at that meeting. What are you going to do? Just make sure you record everything, every word, every presentation. Understand? He pauses. You're not coming? Trust me, brother. For once, just trust me. After hanging up, I turn to Serenity. Tell me you have it. She pulls out a USB drive. Everything. Bank transfers, forged documents, the shell companies. Even found recordings of Matthew coaching Autumn on how to backdate transactions. Send copies to my brothers, now. I grab my keys. Sarah, I need you to call that contact at the Financial Times. Already did, Sarah grins. She's very interested in the story, just waiting for the right moment. I check my watch. Matthew's having dinner with Autumn tonight at Barolo's. Time to say hello to my replacement. An hour later, I'm sitting at the restaurant bar, watching Matthew and Autumn through the mirror behind the bottles. They're huddled close, reviewing documents on her tablet. White wine, please, a voice says beside me. I turn to find Autumn standing there, not yet noticing who I am. Make that 2, I add, making her head snap up. Hello, Autumn. I'm Georgia. Her face pales slightly. I know who you are. Do you? I smile, accepting the wine from the bartender. Because I know exactly who you are. Former SEC investigator, specializing in corporate fraud. Ironic, isn't it? I should get back. To Matthew? Go ahead. But first, you might want to check your email. particularly the attachments showing how he's setting you up to take the fall. She freezes. What are you talking about? Those backdated transactions you've been processing, the ones he assured you were legitimate? Check whose digital signature is on them. Spoiler alert, it's yours. I slide a business card across the bar. When you're ready to talk, call that number. Ask for Serenity. She's very good at helping people avoid federal prison. Walking back to my car, I call Caleb. How's the board meeting prep going? Matthew's been in his office for hours. Georgia? He looks worried, really worried. Good, because tomorrow's just the beginning. I start my car. Oh, and Caleb? Watch Autumn during the meeting. She might have something interesting to say. My phone pings with a text from Sarah. Financial Times reporter confirmed. She'll be at the board meeting tomorrow. Anonymous tip about major corporate fraud. Another text follows, this one from Serenity. Autumn called. She's terrified. Wants to meet tonight. I smile, typing back. Tell her to bring everything she has. And I mean everything. The next morning, I'm parked across from Murphy and Associates, watching people file into the building. Matthew arrives early, looking uncharacteristically disheveled. Lloyd Mills follows shortly after, then the other developers. My phone buzzes. Kason. Autumn just showed up. She's asking to speak before Matthew's presentation. Perfect, I reply. Remember, record everything. 10 minutes later, my phone explodes with messages. Caleb. Holy shit, Autumn just confessed everything. Sarah. Reporter is getting it all. This is going to be front page. Serenity. Lloyd Mills just walked out, taking the other developers with him. Finally, a text from an unknown number. Autumn. It's done. I told them everything. I'm so sorry. I start my car, heading not to the office, but to the police station. Because while everyone's focused on the chaos at the board meeting, Detective Rivera is waiting for me with a warrant for Matthew's arrest. Ready? She asks as I walk in. I hand her the final piece of evidence, recordings of Matthew admitting to the fraud, captured during our last fight before I moved out, the one where he was too angry to notice my phone recording. Ready, I confirm. And detective, make sure the arrest happens at his office, in front of everyone. As I walk out, I text my brothers one last time. Watch the show and welcome back to the family business. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't just exposing the truth, it's making sure everyone watches it explode. The video of Matthew's arrest has gone viral in Denver's business circles. Sarah shows me the clip for the 10th time. Matthew being led out in handcuffs, his perfect hair disheveled, that smug smile finally wiped off his face. The comments are brutal, Sarah says, scrolling through her phone. Every major developer in Colorado is distancing themselves from him. Not every developer, I correct her, showing her a text from Lloyd Mills. We need to talk, privately. You're not actually meeting him, are you? At the Millennium Hotel in an hour. I check my appearance in Sarah's hallway mirror. Serenity's already there, watching his every move. Georgia, Sarah grabs my arm. Be careful. Lloyd's been playing both sides from the beginning. That's exactly why I'm meeting him. The Millennium's lobby is all marble and mirrors, perfect for spotting Serenity pretending to read a newspaper in the corner. Lloyd rises from a leather armchair as I approach. Georgia, he extends his hand. You're looking well. Skip the pleasantries, Lloyd. Why am I here? He gestures to a quiet corner. I knew, about Matthew's schemes. Not everything, but enough. And you did nothing. I was waiting. He leans forward, waiting to see what you would do if you had what it takes to run this company. I laugh coldly. Run the company? I built that company, while you were circling like a vulture, waiting to swoop in. Smart girl. He smiles, but it doesn't reach his eyes. But here's what you don't know. Those developers Matthew was courting, they're still interested, very interested. just not in him. In you, you mean. In us. He slides a folder across the table. I'm proposing a partnership. Your vision, my connections. We could rebuild Murphy and Associates into something extraordinary. I open the folder. Development proposals, funding commitments, everything we'd need to expand nationally. It's tempting, almost too tempting. And my brothers would retain their positions, of course, under our leadership. My phone buzzes. A text from Serenity. Got it all on video, your call. I close the folder. That's very generous, Lloyd, but I have a counter proposal. Pulling out my own folder, I watch his face as he reads. His expression shifts from confusion to shock to something close to fear. These are copies of emails, I explain calmly. Between you and Matthew, planning how to take over the company after he drove it into the ground. Fascinating reading. Where did you? Autumn was very thorough in her record keeping. Insurance, she called it. I stand up. The police already have copies, as does the SEC. Lloyd's face hardens. You're making a mistake. No, you made the mistake, thinking you could play both sides. I gather my things. The developers will get a full briefing on your involvement tomorrow. I suggest you call your lawyer. As I walk away, he calls after me. You need me, Georgia. You need my connections. No, Lloyd, I need honest partners, and I already have them. Outside, Serenity falls into step beside me. That was beautiful. Want to see his face when you mentioned the SEC? Send it to Sarah. She'll want it for her article. My phone rings. Caleb. The board just finished emergency session. It's unanimous. They want you back. As what? Designer? Project manager? CEO. He pauses. All of us agreed. It's time to rebuild. Properly this time. I stop walking, letting that sink in. And you and Kaysen? We'll be right beside you, where we should have been all along. His voice softens. Come home, Georgia. Back at Sarah's, I find her typing furiously on her laptop. Almost done, she announces. The exposé goes live tomorrow morning. Family betrayal and corporate fraud. The Murphy and Associates story. Hold the story, I tell her. I have a better idea. What? The gala's still happening next week. Matthew's presentation slot is now empty. I smile. I think it's time for a different kind of announcement. Sarah's eyes light up. The prodigal daughter returns? Better. I show her the preliminary designs I've been working on in secret. We're going back to our roots. Sustainable housing, community projects, everything Matthew tried to destroy. With Lloyd's developers out, we'll find new partners, honest ones. I pull up my email, starting with the ones who've been flooding my inbox since Matthew's arrest. My phone chimes with a group text from my brothers. Conference room tomorrow morning? Like old times? I reply, bring coffee. We have a company to rebuild. Sarah closes her laptop. You know this isn't over, right? There will be fallout. Good. I look at the Murphy and Associates building through her window. Because this time, we're doing it right, as a family. And for the first time in months, I feel like I'm finally coming home. The gala venue sparkles with champagne glasses and forced smiles. Everyone's trying to pretend they weren't involved with Matthew's schemes, but I can see the nervous glances, the whispered conversations. Deep breath, Sarah whispers, adjusting my blazer. You've got this. I scan the room. Caleb and Kaysen are working the crowd, smooth-talking potential investors. Serenity's positioned near the AV booth, ensuring everything's ready. And there, by the bar, stands Autumn, looking lost without Matthew by her side. Ms. Murphy? A young server approaches. There's a call for you at the front desk. They say it's urgent. I know who it is before I pick up the phone. Enjoying my party? Matthew's voice drips with bitterness. I spent months planning it. From what I hear, you're planning lots of things in detention. How's the food? You think you're so clever, don't you? But you have no idea what's coming. My blood runs cold, but I keep my voice steady. Goodbye, Matthew. Enjoy the jumpsuit. Back in the ballroom, Caleb rushes over. Lloyd Mills just arrived, with lawyers. Right on schedule. I check my phone, a text from Serenity. Everything's set, give the signal when ready. The lights dim, and the MC takes the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to Murphy and Associates, Georgia Murphy. Applause, some genuine, some hesitant. I take the stage, feeling hundreds of eyes on me. Thank you all for coming tonight. I pause, letting the silence build. I know many of you expected a different speaker, a different vision for our company's future. Movement at the back catches my eye. Lloyd Mills and his legal team trying to get to the AV booth. Serenity blocks their path, phone raised, recording everything. But sometimes the future isn't about new visions, I continue. Sometimes it's about remembering who you really are. I click the remote. Behind me, images appear. Our first projects, the sustainable housing developments, the community centers we built. Murphy and Associates was founded on a simple principle: building communities, not just buildings. My brothers and I. This presentation is unauthorized. Lloyd's voice booms from the back. As a major shareholder, former shareholder, I correct him, clicking again. The screen changes to show transaction records. As of this morning, your shares have been purchased by our new investment partner. The crowd murmurs as a woman stands up from the front row. That would be me, she announces. Sarah Rodriguez, Green Future Development. We believe in Georgia's vision. Lloyd's face turns purple. You can't. Actually, we can. Caleb steps forward. Board approved it this morning, unanimously. And speaking of approval, I click again, revealing more documents. Mr. Mills, the SEC would like to discuss some interesting emails they've received. I believe they're waiting outside. Right on cue, two federal agents appear at Lloyd's elbows. The crowd parts as they escort him out, his lawyers scrambling behind. Now, I turn back to the screen. Let me show you our real future. The next hour flies by as I present our new initiatives: affordable housing projects, sustainable design innovations, community-focused developments. With each slide, I see heads nodding, interest growing. We're not just rebuilding buildings, I conclude. We're rebuilding trust in our company, in our vision, and in each other. The applause is thunderous this time. Investors crowd forward, cards in hand. Sarah Rodriguez beams from the front row. Quite a show. Autumn appears beside me as the crowd disperses. For what it's worth. I'm sorry, for everything. Prove it. I hand her a card. The DA's office is looking for witnesses. Make it right. Later, as the cleaning crew begins clearing glasses, my brothers find me on the venue's balcony. That was something else, Kaysen says, handing me a champagne flute. Dad would be proud, Caleb adds quietly. Of all of us, I correct him. We're family. We mess up. We fix it. We move forward. My phone buzzes. A text from Serenity. Lloyd Mills in custody. SEC found more than we expected. You might want to see this. Ready to get back to work? I ask my brothers, showing them the message. They exchange glances. Then Caleb raises his glass. To Murphy and Associates, the real one. To family, Kaysen adds. I clink my glass against theirs, watching the city lights sparkle below. Tomorrow we'll deal with whatever Lloyd's secrets reveal. Tomorrow we'll start rebuilding for real. But tonight, standing here with my brothers, I already feel like we've won. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying your enemies. It's about proving them wrong by building something better. It goes deeper than we thought, Serenity says, spreading documents across my new office desk. Lloyd wasn't just working with Matthew. He was running similar schemes at 3 other firms. I leaf through the evidence. More shell companies, more forged documents, more stolen millions. Have you shown this to the SEC? They're building a case now, but that's not the biggest revelation. She pulls out a final folder. Look who signed off on Lloyd's first fraudulent deal. 10 years ago. The signature makes my heart stop. Dad, your father discovered Lloyd's scheme just before he died. Serenity explains gently. These emails suggest he was planning to expose everything. My office door opens. Caleb and Kaysen, faces grim. You saw it? Caleb asks. Dad knew, I whisper. He was trying to stop it. And Lloyd's been covering it up ever since, Kaysen adds, using Dad's death to hide his tracks. My phone rings. Sarah. Georgia, turn on the news. Now. I grab the remote, flicking on the office TV. Lloyd's face fills the screen, standing outside the courthouse in handcuffs. The headline scrolls. Developer Lloyd Mills linked to decade-long fraud scheme. Multiple firms affected. That's not all. Sarah's voice is urgent. Matthew's asking for a deal. He wants to testify against Lloyd. A text pops up from an unknown number. I recognize the detention center's area code. We need to talk. Now. M. 20 minutes later, I'm sitting across from Matthew in a sterile visitation room. His orange jumpsuit clashes with his still perfect hair. You look good, he says. CEO suits you. What do you want, Matthew? To make things right. He leans forward. Lloyd approached me 3 years ago, said he knew about some irregularities in the company's past, your father's dealings. Don't you dare talk about my father. He was trying to protect you. Matthew's voice rises. All of you. Lloyd threatened to expose everything unless your father played along. When he refused, the heart attack, I realize, the stress. Lloyd saw me as an opportunity. Young, ambitious lawyer marrying into the Murphy family. Perfect puppet. He laughs bitterly. I thought I was so clever playing his game. Didn't realize I was just another mark. Why tell me this now? Because Lloyd has more friends, powerful friends, the kind who can make evidence disappear. He slides a paper across the table. This is everything I know. Names, dates, accounts. Use it. Back at the office, I find Sarah Rodriguez waiting with my brothers. The Green Future Board is concerned, she begins. They should be, I interrupt, handing her Matthew's document. But not about us. Check your partner list against these names. Her eyes widen as she reads. 3 of our major investors. They're all connected to Lloyd. We need to move fast, Caleb says, before they can hide the money. My phone buzzes. Autumn. Lloyd's lawyers are making moves, big ones, meeting at the courthouse in 30 minutes. Not if we move faster. I pull up my email. Sarah's article is ready. Serenity has the SEC evidence, and Matthew's testimony will destroy everyone involved, Kaysen finishes, including some very powerful people. Good. I hit send on Sarah's article. Let them burn. The next few hours are chaos. Sarah's story explodes across financial news. The SEC announces a broader investigation. Lloyd's powerful friends scramble to distance themselves. Georgia, Caleb calls from his office. Dad's old files. I found something. In a dusty box, we discover a letter. Dad's handwriting dated just before he died. My dear children, I read aloud, my voice shaking. If you're reading this, I couldn't protect you from what's coming, but I know you'll protect each other. The truth about Lloyd Mills. The letter details everything. The fraud, the threats, Dad's plan to expose it all, his last attempt to save the company he built. He didn't fail, Kaysen says quietly. He gave us the strength to finish what he started. My phone lights up with messages. Serenity, Lloyd's lawyers backing down. They know we have everything. Sarah, story's gone national. No hiding now. Autumn, testifying tomorrow, telling everything. And finally from Matthew, "It's done. They can't hurt your family anymore. I'm sorry I ever tried." I look at my brothers, at the letter in my hands, at the company our father built and we saved. "Now what?" Kaysen asks. "Now," I smile, "we build something worthy of Dad's legacy, together." Because sometimes the greatest victory isn't just exposing the truth, it's honoring those who fought for it first. The jury has reached a verdict. The courtroom falls silent as Lloyd stands, his expensive suit unable to hide his nervous trembling. I squeeze Caleb's hand on my left, Kaysen's on my right. In the matter of securities fraud and conspiracy, we find the defendant guilty on all counts. The gallery erupts in whispers. Sarah Rodriguez, sitting behind us, lets out a quiet, "Yes." Autumn, who testified for 3 days straight, wipes away tears. Lloyd turns to glare at me as they lead him away. I meet his gaze steadily, thinking of Dad's letter in my pocket. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarm. "Ms. Murphy, what does this mean for the company?" "It means we can finally focus on building rather than fighting," I tell them, starting with the Boulder Sustainable Housing Project. Ground breaks next week. Back at the office, Sarah's waiting with champagne. "Look what just came in," she says, handing me a tablet. It's an email from the American Institute of Architects. Our community center design won Project of the Year. "Dad's design," I correct her. "The one Lloyd tried to bury. We just brought it to life." "Speaking of life," Caleb enters, grinning. "Wait till you see who's here." I follow him to the conference room. Through the glass, I see Matthew sitting with his lawyer. He's in a suit now, not prison orange. "Part of his plea deal," Kaysen explains. 3 years probation, full cooperation, and he returns everything he took. I take a deep breath and enter. Matthew stands, looking smaller somehow, more human. "The DA says your testimony was crucial," I say. "Lloyd's going away for a long time. It was the least I could do." He places a thick envelope on the table. "These are my shares in the company, signed over to you, all of them." "Keep them," I surprise myself saying, "but use them better this time." His eyes widen. "What do you mean?" "The homeless shelter project needs a legal team, pro bono work. Think you can handle that?" A small smile, genuine this time. "Thank you, Georgia." "Don't thank me yet. Caleb and Kaysen will be watching every move you make." After he leaves, Serenity arrives with more news. Lloyd's other victims are filing civil suits. They want Murphy and Associates to consult on the recovery process. "Of course they do." Sarah laughs. "Who better to help rebuild than the family who exposed everything?" My phone buzzes. A text from Sarah Rodriguez. "Board approved full funding for next 5 projects. When can you start?" I look around at our father's company, at my company. The walls we once fought over now hold new designs, new dreams, better ones. "Georgia," Caleb calls. "The Boulder team is ready for the final review." In the main conference room, our architects and engineers are gathered. Young, eager faces mixed with veteran builders, all here because they believe in what we're creating. "Show me," I say, and they launch into their presentation. Sustainable materials, solar integration, community spaces, everything Dad believed in. Kason leans over. "Remember when we used to build cities out of cardboard? Now we're building them for real," I smile, "and better than we imagined." The presentation ends with a video walkthrough. As the 3D rendering shows families enjoying the spaces we've designed, I feel Dad's letter crinkle in my pocket. "This is it," I tell the team. "This is what Murphy and Associates was always meant to be." Later, as sunset paints the Denver skyline gold, I find my brothers in Dad's old office, my office now. "Found something else in the archives," Kaysen says, holding up blueprints. Dad's original design for his dream project, the one he never got to build. I unroll the papers, recognizing Dad's handwriting in the margins, notes about community impact, sustainability, leaving things better than we found them. What do you say? Caleb asks. Ready for one more project? I look at the blueprints, then at my brothers, then at the city beyond our windows. The city Dad loved, the city we're helping rebuild, one project at a time. Together, I say, and they nod. Because that's what family does. We build things, we fix what's broken, we make things right. And sometimes, if we're lucky, we create something even better than what was lost. Let's build Dad's dream, I say, spreading the blueprints across my desk. Let's build it right. Because in the end, that's the best revenge of all. Not just surviving betrayal, but thriving beyond it. Creating legacy from loss, building future from pain. Together, as family, as Murphy and Associates. The way it always should have been.